Hello, my name is Julian Brinkley, and this is CIS 3303, Object-Oriented Analysis and Design. This is a very brief lecture, a very brief video that is basically going to discuss identifying system features and use cases. Sometimes this can be a somewhat tricky proposition, so I want to make sure that I'm providing you with enough examples to where you have a good idea of what we mean when we're talking about identifying system features and a good process to follow when attempting to document and identify use cases. So we will identify system features and create a few use cases for an imaginary website called Brinkley'sWidgetFactory.com. So basically, this is an imaginary website where users can design, customize, and print their very own widgets. It's completely imaginary, so don't go to the website, don't go to the URL because I have no idea what's there. But Brinkley'sWidgetFactory.com is the example that we're going to use. So using this imaginary project, we can imagine that we either have a project charter, a vision and scope document, or an initial software requirement specification where we have identified some core activities that the user is going to be involved in, or some core things that the user is going to be able to do. So a user should be able to create an account, create widgets, customize widgets, update previously created widgets, delete old widgets, and order printed widgets. So as we see, a lot of this follows the basic CRUD concept. So creation, updating, so on and so forth. So whenever you're designing a system, you need to think about those core features when you're in the process of identifying system features. If I have another type of system that basically allows me to create and manage videos, then I'm going to have the same features or system functionalities: creating videos, updating videos, deleting videos, so on and so forth. So let's take a scenario. We discussed the scenarios in the previous use case lecture and video. So the scenario in this case is going to be pretty brief. A new user goes online to Brinkley'sWidgetFactory.com to create a new custom widget. Very straightforward. From this scenario, coupled with our previously identified features, the creating of an account, updating of an account, so on and so forth, we can easily identify the actor and write a few use cases. And so in talking about identifying the actor, it's a very straightforward process, and the main thing that we need to remember is that an actor is an outside user system that interacts with the system under discussion in order to obtain some type of value from that interaction. So they either want some type of activity to take place as a result of interacting with the system. They want some type of information to be returned to them as a result of interacting with the system. They want information to go to someone else as a result of interacting with the system. There's some type of value that the user or entity interacting with the system receives. In this case, in this specific example of Brinkley's Widget Factory, the actor could simply be referred to as the user. So there is no special role or anything like that for the actor. We can just basically call them a user. In this scenario, we have a new user that's going to the website in order to obtain a widget. So our first use case is going to be pretty straightforward: create an account. If we go back, one of the first things we discussed is that a user on Brinkley'sWidgetFactory.com is going to have the ability to actually create a user account. So the use case in this scenario would be pretty straightforward. So a new user visits Brinkley'sWidgetFactory.com with the intent of creating a new user account. The user enters the requested information and confirms their entries. The system processes the request, and the user receives confirmation from the system that their account has been created successfully. Okay, so now we have our very first use case. So how will we move forward? Pretty simply. Now we go to the create widget process. And as we can see, this closely follows along with our system features. So creating a widget. An existing user visits Brinkley'sWidgetFactory.com with the intent of creating a new widget. After authenticating the user, the system prompts the user to enter the details for the new widget. The user enters and confirms the details of the new widget. The system creates the widget and displays the widget details. The user receives confirmation from the system of new widget creation. And again, this is very straightforward. All we're doing is stating what the actor is doing and what the system is going to do in response. We're not specifying how the system is going to do it, but we're specifying this with enough detail to where when it's time to actually implement this, we know what should happen with respect to a user action and a system response. So to conclude, remember, each use case is associated with a system feature that must be implemented. So each of these use cases that we're going to write is going to be some type of system capability or system feature that must be implemented when we're to the point of actually writing code. Thus far, we've written use cases for the first two features that we identified, those being account creation and widget creation. In order to write the remaining use cases, you would simply follow along the same process of taking the system feature and then basically writing a use case to that feature. And remember, a feature is a type of system capability or functionality, and each use case is directly associated with a system feature. That is a very easy way of, in your mind, thinking about how to actually break down these use cases. So you need to make sure that the use cases are not too broad, that they're specifically focusing on a specific activity that is associated with the system feature. And in thinking about system features and use cases, you really want to think about what is your actor trying to do? What is their goal? So the use case itself should closely align with the actor's goal, whatever that may be. If the actor's goal is to create an account, well then the use case, the feature should be associated with account creation, and the use case should be directly associated with account creation. If the user is trying to create a widget, then the feature should be associated with creating a widget, and the use case should be associated with creating a widget. Shouldn't be focused on deleting a widget, shouldn't be focused on updating or customizing a widget, should be specifically focused on whatever that user's direct goal is at that point.